Every season, regardless of how well or how poorly the Yankees are playing, there's a certain percentage of the Yankees fan base that just wants change. They want you to trade the biggest stars on the team. They want you to fire the GM. They want you to fire the manager. But based on the comments that I'm seeing on this channel, this year feels a little bit different. Yankees fans are pissed off. The Yankees have their worst offensive team since 1972. They're in the bottom 5 of the league in offense. They hit into the most double plays in the league. Nobody can run the bases. You got guys playing out of position every single game. I don't blame the fans that want to shake things up. In fact, I think it's warranted. One of the reasons that baseball stadiums are shaped so differently from stadium to stadium is that in the beginning of the game, when stadiums were first being designed, they had to be fit onto a city block. So you would just come up with these abnormal shapes like Ebbets Field. Yankee Stadium, though, was constructed specifically for Babe Ruth, specifically because he was a left-handed power hitter and the Yankees wanted more home runs. And the Yankees have never changed that blueprint. When they redesigned the stadium in the 70s, they kept the short right field porch. And then with the new stadium that came out in 2009, they stuck with the short right field porch. But for some reason, the Yankees are intent on having an entire roster full of right-handed hitters. And to me, that's just malpractice. I think this matchup with the Twins this week in Minnesota is going to be an interesting series. You might remember that the Twins actually set the Major League Baseball home run record a couple of years ago. The Yankees finished just behind them, and the Twins were kind of an upstart team. Nobody expected them to be as good as they were. But this year they've taken a serious step back, just like the Yankees have. It's almost as if the league adjusted to whatever strategy these two teams were using to hit all of these home runs. The Yankees simply have to sweep this series. The Twins are 24-35. They don't have much to play for. They are in 4th place in the American League Central. They're managed by Rocco Baldelli, ex-Tampa Bay Ray. And honestly, their offense is not great this year. They have 2 guys in double figures with home runs. Miguel Sano has 11. Nelson Cruz, who always hits a ton of home runs, and even at 40 years old, he's got 10 home runs. He's batting .280 with an .858 OPS, so you have to pitch around him. Byron Buxton is their best player. He's currently on the injured list. And then their pitching staff is led by Jose Berrios, who's 6-2 with a 3.58 ERA. They also have Jay Happ, former Yankees great. He is 3-2 with a 5.61 ERA. Matt Shoemaker is 2-7 with a 7.28 ERA. And then they have another former Yankees hero, Michael Pineda, who's actually having a decent season at 3-3 with a 3.40 ERA in 9 starts. No word on whether or not he's still using pine tar on the ball. I wanted to verify that I'm not the only person whose audience seems to have gone full fire everyone, trade everyone mode. And so I invited Patrick Hennessy on the show from Unhinged Yankees. We do the 643 DP podcast together. And I wanted to ask him about how his audience is handling this season. Word, it matches my room.
Fits you so beautifully, Derek.
I like it, man.
Compliment your eyes.
I like it. From the content creator perspective, by the way, congratulations on 2,000. Growing.
Thanks, man.
I like it.
But you're at what, like 13K now?
Something like that. There's a lot of Fire Boone. There's a lot of Fire Cashman. There's a lot of Blow It Up. What are your thoughts on the state of your, I guess, audience's psychology right now?
Listen, Derek, I'm going to be honest with you. When the whole Yankees slide kind of started, right? These comments started right in the beginning, kind of mentioning like Fire Boone, Fire Cashman, blow the whole thing up. And in the beginning, I'm kind of like, you people are crazy, right? But now as time has gone on and on and on, and the Yankees just continue to be losing these series against AL East opponents, it's getting to the point where I kind of see myself going over to the dark side as well, right? I'm kind of feeding into that narrative. I'm like that evil Kermit meme with the hood on. And I'm like doing my little evil laugh because here I am. I'm kind of like, at this point, something drastic has to change like that. I'm probably making the first domino to fall by firing Marcus Timms. I think he's the easiest one to let go.
Yeah, I think Tim's has got to be the sacrificial lamb at this point, just to get a different philosophy in there, or whoever's giving Marcus Timms his directives. Somebody, I just want to see an article in the paper that the Yankees are trying to fix it, and not just wishing and hoping that it'll get better. Albert Einstein says that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Since last year, when this offensive slide really began, what are they doing differently? I mean, I see the same approach every day. I see guys zoning in on one particular pitch in their zone, regardless of whether or not the pitcher is working them in that area or not. I see them going for the launch angle with two strikes instead of just trying to put the ball in play. I watch the Red Sox get 2-out hits all night long. The Rays get 2-out hits all night long. And I just don't see the Yankees doing it.
The lack of balance and the lack of versatility in that lineup. If you go back maybe like 6 years ago to like the 2015 Yankees, right? That was a team that was kind of built on left-handed veteran lefty sluggers, right? And now it seems like the Yankees took a total 180 approach to that, and they went after like all young right-handed hitters. I think the fact that the Yankees have ignored the biggest flaw in their lineup, and that's the lack of balance for so many years, and just thinking that hitting 300 home runs every season is going to get them to the World Series. I think it's a glaring issue that they're never really going to fix, because this is the mentality of the organization.
I feel like this year, the pitching is good enough. You know, if we got to the playoffs and you have some tight games, especially if Corey Kluber's back and healthy, I feel like the pitching is good enough. And so I don't want to wave the white flag and say we're mailing it in, we're blowing it up. But I do think there are some pieces you can move, and some of them are from your big league club. I think Chapman could get you something back, and you could fill in. Closer is not that important of a position. If you go and look at the analytics, how many times does a closer get scored upon in a season? Really, you could supplement the way the Yankees use relief pitchers and the way they develop relief pitchers. You could really use Zach Britton as your closer and not lose that much.
Would we prefer to make the postseason as like a wild card team, right? And just get eliminated in the ALCS again and just keep going through this same cycle year in, year out? Or at this point, would you prefer to just miss the postseason altogether? And maybe that would be some sort of wake-up call for the organization to change things around, right? And personally, I think I'm going with the latter.
I hear where you're coming from, but I don't think it's a binary choice. I think there's a third option. I think there are moves you can make. There's no one player out there that can fix it, right? Going and getting Ketel Marte and putting him in center field isn't going to fix it.
I agree.
This team is too right-handed. You can't run 8 right-handed hitters out there. And I get what the Yankees are doing. They see the rise in velocity in the game. And so they're going for right-handers and teaching them to swing late and drive the ball to right field. Only problem is it's very difficult to hit with that launch angle on that kind of velocity every time. And the Yankees are basically getting thrown nothing but breaking balls anyway. So it's not working out. They're getting 20% more breaking balls than anybody in the league. So the Yankees just need to reshuffle how they attack other teams because they've got the pieces. Judge is still a top 3, top 5 player in baseball right now today. Garrett Cole, we'll see what happens with the spin rate and the absence of the yak stickum or whatever it's called. But I still like him as a top 5 pitcher in baseball, even without the extra spin rate. Luis Severino coming back. If he's lights out, which is there's a non-zero chance that he could come out and be what Jose Fernandez was after he got back from Tommy John, or Steven Strasburg was. There's a non-zero chance that he could come back and be that legitimate second ace. And then Corey Kluber, if he's healthy in the final 2 months of the season, we saw what he was. You've got the pitching to go deep into the playoffs. You just need more left-handed bats. I think you can get probably a center fielder and a left fielder, maybe a second baseman.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what it comes down to, right? And that's kind of what I mentioned before. It all comes down to whether or not the Yankees decide to make these moves to propel themselves back to the top. And as of right now, I don't really see them going down that route. But if they do, like you said, and kind of get a Ketel Marte and maybe a second baseman, maybe another starting pitcher, right? So when Luis Severino does come back, he doesn't feel the burden of having to be the Yankees' number 2. If they make these kinds of moves, yes, I'm going to say, obviously, this team is going to go far.
It's deflating.
Yeah.
It's very deflating because I came into the season expecting, maybe 100 wins, 100 plus
We all
wins.
did.
Is your audience basically on suicide watch at this point, or do you think that they're sticking with the team?
It's kind of strange, right? Because I think for the most part, yes, my audience is kind of like giving up on the team, but I think at the same time they kind of feed off my energy, right? And at the same time, I'm kind of just like numb to the whole thing. I'm not like if the Yankees continuously keep losing, I can't go on stream every night and just keep ranting, right? That's just
Mhm.
it's not a realistic thing. I'll give myself a heart attack at the age of 21. It's just not
Yeah.
worth it.
I will say this, as a content creator around the Yankees, it is kind of depressing every night to go on there and be like, we lost. Here's why. And it's the same story every single night. As an artist, I consider myself an artist above all else. I like to create like a compelling story. And there's no compelling story to be told of this Yankees team right now. They're just bad every night. And there's not many signs that they're getting better. And I'm a little pissed off at how quiet Brian Cashman is in this whole thing. Like, I want to see a press conference. Why is this not working out? Why is your team 26th in offense? You're the Yankees. I want to
Yeah.
hear what's going wrong.
But that's why I kind of understand the frustration, right? You remember in the beginning of the season when the Yankees went on that huge slide, they looked like the worst team in baseball, kind of like they do now. And that was a point in the season where it was still April, right? It was kind of like the rust of every Yankee season. And I was kind of telling everyone, like, stop panicking, don't hit the panic button just yet. Let's see how this team progresses and moves forward from here. The Yankees did get better, but now they're back at square one again.
Mhm.
And they kind of look worse than they did in the beginning of the season, to be honest with you. So as of right now, I think my hand is almost on that panic button. I mean,
Yeah.
bro, we're in fourth place in the American League East. As of the recording, we're 2 games above 500, and like, there's if you look outside the window, the days don't look too bright ahead. So I think something needs to change very quickly before the Yankees. They're digging their own grave right now, and they need to stop before the hole gets way too deep and they can't climb out.
Brett Gardner, should he retire midseason?
I knew this had to come up, right? I'm like the Brett Gardner guy. Listen, I've talked about this so often. I think Brett Gardner needs to take like the hero's way out at this point and pull a Jay Bruce and kind of
Yeah.
recognize, like, at this point in my career, I'm more of a liability to this team than anything else, and I just need to retire. And that frees up a roster spot for the Yankees. Now, either if you want to go the route and call it Estevan Florial if they think he's ready. Personally, my guy, I would call up Trey Ambergy, see what he could do in the big leagues. He's absolutely raking in AAA. Give him an opportunity. Also, maybe that would open a roster spot. Maybe you trade for a guy like Mike Talkman. If Brett Gardner is gone mid-season, that will be on his own choice. However, I don't see that happening simply because I think Brett still thinks he has some left in the tank. And that might be because of the media and kind of like how Yes Network still kind of touts him up as being a guy who provides a bunch of value to this team. And I think because of that reason, he won't take the hero's way out because he still thinks that he provides value to this team despite the struggles we've seen for the past 2 seasons. Also, Derek, keep in mind, he has an option for next season.
Yeah, that was an ugly, ugly, ugly. I was really disappointed. Actually, I think we spoke about it that day because we knew he was going to be kind of looking over Clint Frazier's shoulder the whole and look what happened. Clint
He,
Frazier got off to a slow start because he's thinking, when are they going to put Brett Gardner in? And then it happened like 3 days into the season, and you know what I mean? It's
It
like,
was like the second series of the season. Clint's benched for 2 games. I believe when the Yankees went to Tampa, Clint had a
yeah,
rough maybe 4 games. All of a sudden, Brett Gardner's the starting left fielder. And I don't want to say that's the reason for Clint Frazier's serious struggles this season, but it's very difficult for a guy's mental space to be okay when he's benched.
I like the guy. I like the kid. I think he's an exciting player and he's got a ton of talent. But if you put him in Cincinnati, you put him in San Diego, you put him somewhere where he can just kind of sink into the background and be him and do his thing, he's gonna have MVP type numbers.
Bro, I like to compare it to like a toxic relationship, right? Like I at this point, I want to break up with Clint Frazier just because I want to see him do well elsewhere. You know, like I just want to see him succeed in life. And I don't think it's going to be with the New York Yankees. And I think that's the case with a lot of guys, right? I think they completely misutilized Clint Frazier's career. He got called up way much later. I think that this dude could have been a starting major league outfielder since 2017, 2018, and he's just been blocked in the Yankees organization, much like many players
Yeah.
that still have yet to get an opportunity.
Patrick, appreciate your time. Hopefully the Yankees can turn it around and our post-game lives can get back to being celebratory rather than funereal.
Guess we'll just have to wait and see, Derek. Guess we'll have to wait and see.
Appreciate it, man.
Peace.
If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. It helps other Yankees fans find the channel. If you really enjoyed it, check out the swag section. We've got tons of great designs to support all your favorite Yankees. And if you simply cannot get enough Yankees content, check out the podcast version of this channel, The Frieze by NYY Recaps, available wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Derek. Thanks for watching.